Hopelessness. It's the defining characteristic of a generation facing unprecedented challenges. But is this feeling a justified response to the state of the world, or a dangerous self-fulfilling prophecy that could lead to apathy and collapse? Understanding this pervasive sense of doom is not merely an academic exercise. It speaks to the heart of our society's future, impacting everything from political engagement to mental health. This disillusionment, if left unaddressed, could lead to widespread political apathy, social unrest fueled by resentment, and a chilling decline in innovation and civic engagement, all of which threaten the foundations of our communities. The stakes are incredibly high. This generation, often dubbed the Doomer generation, is united by a shared anxiety about the future, fixated on looming threats like climate change, economic instability, and seemingly insurmountable political polarization. Are these anxieties justified, or are they a symptom of something deeper, a collective cognitive distortion amplified by the digital age? While the concerns of the Doomer generation are undeniably rooted in real and pressing global problems, their descent into all-encompassing hopelessness risks becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy. But there exist pathways to navigate this despair, to channel this anxiety into constructive action, rather than succumbing to paralyzing fatalism. We must ask ourselves, can this mindset be changed, and how? Throughout history, societies have grappled with similar periods of intense anxiety and perceived existential threats. The Cold War, with its ever-present threat of nuclear annihilation, cast a long shadow of fear and uncertainty. The Great Depression brought economic hardship and widespread despair, challenging the very foundations of capitalism. Even further back, the Black Death decimated populations and triggered social upheaval, leading many to believe the end was near. By recognizing this pattern of cyclical societal anxieties, we can begin to contextualize the current sense of doom and understand that hopelessness, while potent, is not necessarily a permanent state. Several socio-economic and technological factors contribute significantly to the doomer mentality. The rise of the gig economy, with its precarious employment and lack of job security, fuels economic anxiety. Social media echo chambers amplify existing fears and create a distorted perception of reality. The 24/7 news cycle bombards individuals with a constant stream of negative information, fostering a sense of helplessness. These are just a few of the factors we will unpack in the coming sections. The wide-reaching impact of this hopelessness cannot be overstated. On an individual level, it manifests as increased rates of mental health issues, substance abuse, and a profound decrease in overall life satisfaction. Within communities, it erodes social bonds, contributes to increased crime rates, and leads to economic stagnation. By gaining a deeper insight into the doomer mentality, we can develop more effective strategies for addressing these societal challenges and fostering resilience at both the individual and collective level. Fields like psychology, sociology, and philosophy offer invaluable perspectives in this endeavor. This exploration touches on core themes: the fluid nature of hope and despair, the crucial importance of meaning-making in a chaotic world, and the unrealized power of individual and collective action. To truly understand the roots of this despair, we must briefly touch on its philosophical underpinnings. Thinkers like Nietzsche, Schopenhauer, and Camus grappled with the concepts of nihilism and existentialism, questioning the inherent meaning of life and the nature of human existence. In accessible terms, nihilism suggests a lack of objective meaning or value, while existentialism emphasizes individual freedom and responsibility in a meaningless world. But what do we even mean when we speak of hopelessness in the context of the doomer generation? It's crucial to differentiate between a healthy skepticism, a critical assessment of the challenges we face, and the kind of paralyzing despair that prevents action and fosters a sense of learned helplessness. As we delve deeper, we'll explore potential tools for navigating this hopelessness, including cognitive reframing techniques, acceptance and commitment therapy, ACT, and the wisdom of Stoicism. We'll also examine the fundamental pattern of individual agency within systemic constraints. Even in the face of seemingly overwhelming challenges, individuals retain the power to find meaning and create positive change, whether through sustainable living practices, active engagement in community initiatives, or finding solace and expression through artistic endeavors. Can the Doomer generation be saved from their own despair? Is there a viable path to finding meaning in a world that often seems to be actively falling apart? What insidious role does technology play in amplifying feelings of hopelessness and anxiety? Perhaps the solutions to the Doomer generation's pervasive hopelessness lie in revisiting ancient wisdom and adapting it to the complexities of the modern world. Is the Doomer mentality merely a temporary phenomenon, a fleeting response to current crises, or is it a harbinger of a more profound and lasting societal shift? Join us as we explore practical strategies for cultivating hope and resilience, from the power of mindfulness to the strength found in community building, and ultimately the transformative act of discovering one's own unique purpose. Nihilism, the philosophical bedrock of despair, posits that life lacks inherent meaning, purpose, or value. It's a viewpoint that arises from deep skepticism, a questioning of everything we once held to be true. This isn't just teenage angst or rebellious contrarianism. It's a systematic dismantling of the belief systems that have historically provided structure and comfort to societies. Think of the decline of religious institutions, the erosion of faith in political systems, and the questioning of long-held cultural norms. These shifts leave many feeling adrift, without a moral compass or a sense of belonging. At its core, nihilism rejects the notion of objective morality, suggesting that concepts like good and evil are merely human constructs. It also challenges the idea of inherent human worth, implying that we are simply biological machines without any intrinsic significance. Consider the pervasive feeling that individual actions are inconsequential in the face of global challenges, a feeling that often leads to apathy and inaction. How do you fight for something when there is no value or purpose in life? Friedrich Nietzsche, a towering figure in philosophy, offered a profound diagnosis of nihilism, identifying it as a symptom of the death of God. This wasn't a literal declaration of divine demise, but a metaphor for the collapse of traditional value systems, particularly those rooted in religious belief. With the decline of these systems, Nietzsche argued, humanity was left in a state of disorientation, grappling with a profound sense of meaninglessness. Imagine a ship without a rudder, tossed about by the waves, with no clear destination in sight. This, according to Nietzsche, is the condition of modern humanity in the face of nihilism. However, Nietzsche didn't simply lament this loss of faith. He saw it as an opportunity. He proposed the concept of the Übermensch, often translated as Overman or Superman, as a potential response to nihilism. The Übermensch is not a superior being in a biological sense, but rather an individual who transcends conventional morality, embraces the chaos of existence, and creates their own values. This individual recognizes the meaninglessness of the world, but refuses to succumb to despair. The Übermensch actively shapes their own destiny and embraces life with all its inherent contradictions and challenges, setting an example for humanity by taking on the burden of responsibility that traditional beliefs once provided. These philosophical concepts resonate deeply with the modern experience of the Doomer generation. Their anxieties surrounding climate change, economic instability, and relentless political polarization contribute to a pervasive sense of hopelessness. It's not just about disagreeing with political opponents. It's the feeling that the entire system is rigged, that meaningful change is impossible, and that the future is predetermined and bleak. Statistics on mental health issues among young adults paint a stark picture of this despair. Studies consistently show rising rates of anxiety, depression, and suicidal ideation, often linked to feelings of powerlessness and a lack of control over their own lives. Young people are bombarded with information about global crises, yet they often feel unable to make a tangible difference. They witness political gridlock, corporate greed, and environmental degradation, leading to a sense of profound disillusionment. The question becomes, can these feelings of powerlessness be transformed into a drive for meaningful change? The absence of inherent meaning, as highlighted by nihilistic thought, can trigger existential anxiety. This is not just garden variety worry, but a profound feeling of dread and uncertainty about the future. It's a confrontation with the fundamental questions of existence. Why are we here? What is our purpose? What happens when we die? These questions, when stripped of traditional religious or philosophical answers, can be deeply unsettling. Existential angst arises from this confrontation, stemming from the fear of death and the overwhelming burden of freedom. As Jean-Paul Sartre famously put it, we are condemned to be free. This freedom, while liberating in some ways, can also be terrifying. Without preordained values or a divinely mandated purpose, we are responsible for creating our own meaning. How does one reconcile with the absurdity of existence in a world rife with suffering? Nietzsche didn't stop at diagnosing nihilism. He offered a potent response through his concept of the will to power. However, this isn't a crude desire for domination or control over others, as it's often misconstrued. Instead, it represents an inherent drive within each individual to overcome challenges, assert their individuality, and create meaning in a world devoid of inherent purpose. It's the force that propels us to learn, to grow, to create, and to strive for excellence. Think of it as the engine of self-actualization, the internal force that pushes us to become the best version of ourselves. This will to power can be channeled into a myriad of creative pursuits, whether it's writing, painting, music, or even starting a small business. It can manifest as a passion for intellectual endeavors, a thirst for knowledge, and a commitment to lifelong learning. Or it can be expressed through acts of service, volunteering in your community, or advocating for social justice. The key is to find an outlet that resonates with your values and allows you to express your unique potential in a way that gives your life meaning. But how does one tap into this inner power when mired in hopelessness? Nietzsche also advocated for a revaluation of all values, a process of critically examining and rejecting societal norms that stifle individual growth and authentic self-expression. This means questioning the traditional notions of success, consumerism, and social conformity that are often imposed upon us. Are you chasing a career path simply because it's what your parents expect, or because it aligns with your own passions and values? Are you buying things to impress others, or because they genuinely enhance your life? The Doomer generation, with its skepticism towards established institutions and its awareness of societal problems, is uniquely positioned to challenge these traditional values. They are questioning the pursuit of endless economic growth at the expense of the environment, the obsession with social media validation, and the pressure to conform to narrow definitions of success. By consciously rejecting these values, individuals can create space for new ones that are more aligned with their authentic selves, and that contribute to a more just and sustainable world. What deeply ingrained beliefs about life no longer serve you? To fully embrace life, Nietzsche proposed, amor fati, the love of fate. This isn't passive acceptance or resignation, but a radical embrace of the totality of one's life, including its suffering, imperfections, and disappointments. It's about recognizing that everything that has happened to you, both good and bad, has shaped you into the person you are today. Instead of dwelling on regrets or wishing things were different, amor fati encourages you to find joy and meaning in the present moment, to appreciate the beauty and wonder that exists even amidst the chaos and suffering. This mindset can be incredibly powerful in cultivating resilience and gratitude in the face of adversity. When faced with a setback, instead of succumbing to despair, Amma Fati encourages you to ask, what can I learn from this experience? How can I use it to grow and become stronger? How can I transform this challenge into an opportunity? How do you embrace past pain to create future growth? The will to power, the revaluation of values, and Amma Fati are not isolated concepts, but interconnected steps on a progressive path of self-overcoming. This path often begins with a confrontation with nihilism, a recognition of the meaninglessness of existence. However, it doesn't end there. The individual must then actively create their own values, embrace their fate, and strive to become the best version of themselves. This journey mirrors the concept of self-actualization in modern psychology, popularized by Abraham Maslow. Maslow's hierarchy of needs suggests that individuals are driven to fulfill their potential, to achieve a state of wholeness and authenticity. However, Nietzsche's philosophy adds a crucial dimension: the recognition that this self-actualization often requires confronting and overcoming profound existential challenges. It is in the depths of despair that we discover the strength to forge our own path and create a life of meaning and purpose. Does recognizing this process unlock new opportunities for growth? For the Doomer generation, these philosophical concepts translate into practical tools for navigating their anxieties and finding meaning in a seemingly bleak world. The first step is to identify your personal values and sources of meaning. What truly matters to you? Is it creativity, compassion, justice, knowledge, or something else entirely? Take some time to reflect on your passions, your interests, and the things that make you feel alive. Create a list of potential values and rank them in order of importance. This exercise will provide a compass guiding your decisions and actions. It's a crucial step to take. What principles will guide you forward through the challenges of life? Next, set meaningful goals that align with your values and contribute to a sense of purpose and accomplishment. These goals should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound SMART goals. For example, instead of simply saying, "I want to make a difference," set a goal to volunteer at a local charity for 2 hours per week for the next 6 months. Or, if you value creativity, commit to writing for 30 minutes each day. These small, concrete steps can create a sense of momentum and counteract feelings of powerlessness. The key is to break down larger goals into smaller, manageable tasks. Every accomplishment, no matter how small, reinforces your sense of agency and builds confidence in your ability to make a difference. How do you move from abstract ideals to concrete actions? Cultivating resilience is essential for navigating the inevitable challenges and setbacks that life throws our way. This involves practicing mindfulness, developing strong social connections, and engaging in self-care activities. Mindfulness involves paying attention to the present moment without judgment, allowing you to observe your thoughts and feelings without getting carried away by them. Meditation, even for just a few minutes each day, can help you cultivate this awareness. Exercise is another powerful tool for reducing stress and improving mental well-being. Physical activity releases endorphins, which have mood-boosting effects. Spending time in nature has also been shown to reduce stress and improve cognitive function. Connecting with friends and family, joining a club or group, or simply engaging in meaningful conversations can provide a sense of belonging and support. What small, consistent actions can build inner strength? One of the most powerful tools for combating hopelessness is challenging cognitive distortions, the negative thought patterns that distort our perception of reality. The Doomer generation, in particular, is prone to cognitive distortions like catastrophizing, "The world is going to end," overgeneralization, "Nothing ever works out for me," and all-or-nothing thinking, "If I can't solve all the world's problems, there's no point in doing anything." These thought patterns can fuel anxiety and reinforce feelings of hopelessness. To challenge these distortions, start by identifying them. When you notice yourself thinking negatively, ask yourself, is there evidence to support this thought? Am I jumping to conclusions? Am I exaggerating the negative aspects of the situation? Try to reframe your thoughts in a more balanced and realistic way. Instead of catastrophizing about climate change, focus on the actions you can take to reduce your carbon footprint. Instead of overgeneralizing about your failures, recognize that everyone makes mistakes and learn from them. By challenging these cognitive distortions, you can regain control over your thoughts and emotions and cultivate a more hopeful outlook. Are your thoughts helping or hurting your efforts? As you challenge your own cognitive distortions and embrace your power to make a difference, what steps will you take next? As you challenge your own cognitive distortions and embrace your power to make a difference, what steps will you take next to address the larger systemic forces creating the feelings of doom in the first place? To truly understand the doomer generation, we must examine the socio-economic roots of their despair. These are the tangible, material conditions that shape their worldview and fuel their anxieties about the future. One of the most significant factors is the increasingly precarious economy. The decline of traditional career paths, the rise of the gig economy, and the growing burden of student debt have created a generation struggling to achieve financial stability. Consider the statistics. Student loan debt in the United States alone is over $1.7 trillion, a crushing weight on the shoulders of young adults just starting their careers. Stagnant wages, particularly for those without advanced degrees, make it increasingly difficult to afford basic necessities, let alone save for the future. The gig economy, while offering flexibility, often lacks the benefits and security of traditional employment, leaving workers vulnerable to economic shocks. The dream of homeownership, once a cornerstone of the American middle class, feels increasingly out of reach for many young people. Data on income inequality paints a stark picture, revealing a widening gap between the wealthy and the rest of the population. The shrinking middle class contributes to a sense of economic insecurity and resentment, fueling the perception that the system is rigged in favor of the elite. How can a generation build hope when the economic foundations seem so unstable? Contributing to this precarity is the erosion of social safety nets. Cuts to social programs, inadequate healthcare, and the lack of affordable housing exacerbate feelings of vulnerability and despair. The consequences of these policies are far-reaching, impacting mental health, access to education, and social mobility. For example, the lack of affordable healthcare can lead to untreated mental health conditions, further compounding feelings of hopelessness. Cuts to education funding limit opportunities for young people from disadvantaged backgrounds, perpetuating cycles of poverty. The affordable housing crisis forces many to live in precarious situations, struggling to make ends meet and constantly fearing eviction. These factors undermine the sense of security and stability that are essential for building a hopeful future. Do we truly value security? And if so, why are such safety nets repeatedly targeted for defunding? The sense of a rigged system gets amplified by the myth of meritocracy. The widely held belief that success is solely determined by hard work and talent ignores the significant role of systemic inequalities and privilege in shaping life outcomes. While effort and ability certainly matter, they are not the only determinants of success. Marginalized communities often face significant barriers in accessing education, employment, and other opportunities, regardless of their talent or work ethic. Factors such as race, gender, and socio-economic background can significantly impact a person's life trajectory, regardless of their individual merit. For example, studies have shown that individuals with white-sounding names are more likely to receive job interviews than those with names that are perceived as belonging to minority groups, even when their qualifications are identical. This systemic bias undermines the belief in a fair and just system, fostering cynicism and resentment. How can a society claim to reward merit when the playing field is so uneven? Of course, underpinning all of these anxieties is the escalating environmental degradation. The ongoing environmental crisis, including climate change, pollution, and resource depletion fuels anxieties about the future of the planet and humanity. Scientific data paints a grim picture of rising global temperatures, melting glaciers, and extreme weather events. Pollution contaminates our air and water, threatening human health and ecosystems. Resource depletion raises concerns about the long-term sustainability of our current way of life. For the Doomer generation, these environmental challenges are not abstract concerns. They are tangible threats that loom large over their future. The feeling that the planet is on a path to ecological collapse can be profoundly demoralizing, leading to feelings of helplessness and despair. If the planet is dying, what's the point of anything? Adding complexity to these roots of despair is the digital world in which young people must navigate. The digital echo chamber and information overload contribute significantly to the Doomer generation's sense of hopelessness. The very technologies that were supposed to connect us and empower us have, in many ways, become sources of anxiety and division. The filter bubble effect, created by social media algorithms, reinforces existing beliefs and limits exposure to diverse perspectives, contributing to polarization and mistrust. These algorithms personalize our online experiences, showing us content that aligns with our past behavior and preferences. While this can be convenient, it also creates echo chambers where we are primarily exposed to information that confirms our existing biases. This limits our ability to engage with different viewpoints, understand opposing arguments, and form well-informed opinions. Social media algorithms can also amplify misinformation and conspiracy theories, leading to distorted perceptions of reality. False or misleading information can spread rapidly through social networks, often reinforcing existing biases and creating further division. How can we engage in constructive dialogue when we are living in separate information realities? Adding to this confusion is the relentlessness of the 24/7 news cycle. The constant stream of negative news and information overload leads to feelings of anxiety, stress, and powerlessness. We are bombarded with reports of violence, disasters, and political conflicts, often without any context or solutions. This constant exposure to trauma can be psychologically damaging, leading to feelings of helplessness and despair. The phenomenon of doom-scrolling, compulsively consuming negative news online, has become increasingly common, particularly among young people. While staying informed is important, the relentless pursuit of negative information can be detrimental to mental health. How can we stay informed without succumbing to the constant barrage of negativity? Exacerbating this, the attention economy further fragments our focus. Social media platforms and other digital technologies compete fiercely for our attention, leading to a decline in focus, critical thinking, and deep engagement with meaningful content. Notifications, alerts, and endless scrolling are designed to capture and hold our attention, often at the expense of our ability to focus on important tasks or engage in meaningful conversations. The addictive nature of social media can have a significant impact on mental health and productivity, leading to feelings of anxiety, depression, and isolation. The constant need for validation and approval on social media can also contribute to feelings of inadequacy and low self-esteem. How can we reclaim our attention and focus in a world designed to distract us? Ultimately, all of these factors erode our trust. The spread of misinformation, propaganda, and fake news erodes trust in institutions, experts, and even each other, contributing to cynicism and despair. Social media amplifies political polarization and social division, making it harder to find common ground and work together towards solutions. When trust is eroded, it becomes difficult to address complex challenges like climate change, economic inequality, and social injustice. Without trust in institutions, experts, and each other, it's difficult to build a shared vision for the future. How can we rebuild trust in a world saturated with misinformation and division? The convergence of these socio-economic and digital factors creates a perfect storm, leading to a range of psychological consequences for the doomer generation. The constant exposure to crisis and uncertainty takes a significant toll on their mental and emotional well-being. One of the most significant psychological impacts is learned helplessness. When individuals repeatedly experience uncontrollable stressors, they eventually give up trying to change their circumstances. This phenomenon, known as learned helplessness, can lead to feelings of powerlessness, apathy, and depression. For the doomer generation, this feeling of powerlessness is often rooted in the face of systemic issues like climate change and economic inequality. They see these problems as so vast and complex that they feel unable to make a meaningful difference. This sense of futility can be profoundly demoralizing, leading to a sense of resignation and despair. If nothing I do matters, why bother trying? Further compounding this, the concept of moral injury also impacts this generation. Moral injury occurs when individuals witness or participate in events that violate their deeply held moral beliefs, leading to feelings of guilt, shame, and disillusionment. The doomer generation is acutely aware of social injustices, environmental destruction, and the ethical failures of institutions. They see the suffering of others, the degradation of the planet, and the corruption of power, leading to a sense of moral outrage and despair. This can be particularly damaging when individuals feel complicit in these injustices, even if they are not directly responsible. How do we reconcile our values with the realities of a deeply flawed world? Adding to these burdens is the trauma of uncertainty. The constant threat of crises, such as pandemics, economic recessions, and political instability, creates a sense of chronic stress and trauma, leading to anxiety, depression, and burnout. The COVID-19 pandemic, for example, had a profound psychological impact on young adults, disrupting their education, employment, and social lives. The pandemic also highlighted the fragility of our social and economic systems, raising concerns about future security and stability. The constant threat of future crises creates a sense of unease and anxiety, making it difficult to plan for the future or invest in long-term goals. How can we build resilience in the face of constant uncertainty? Sadly, all of this can lead to an erosion of empathy. The constant bombardment of negative news and information overload leads to compassion fatigue and a decline in empathy, making it harder to connect with others and build supportive communities. Constant exposure to suffering can lead to emotional numbing and a sense of detachment. This can make it difficult to connect with others who are struggling or to engage in acts of compassion and solidarity. The erosion of empathy can also lead to increased polarization and division, as people become less able to understand and connect with those who hold different viewpoints. How do we maintain our empathy in a world saturated with suffering? These psychological impacts, combined with the socio-economic and digital factors discussed earlier, create a fertile ground for the doomer mentality to take root. The constant sense of crisis, uncertainty, and powerlessness leads to a bleak outlook on the future and a diminished sense of hope. But while these challenges are real and significant, they do not necessarily dictate our future. One of the ways that we can respond is by examining the meta-narrative of collapse and alternative futures. Understanding the appeal of apocalyptic narratives, warning against the dangers of fatalism, encouraging viewers to imagine alternative futures, and emphasizing the importance of finding hope. Apocalyptic narratives provide a framework for understanding and coping with anxieties about the future. Dystopian fiction, post-apocalyptic films, and survivalist communities all offer different ways of exploring the potential consequences of societal collapse. These narratives can be cathartic, allowing us to confront our fears and anxieties in a safe and controlled environment. They can also be cautionary, highlighting the potential dangers of our current trajectory and inspiring us to take action. However, it's important to recognize the limitations of these narratives and to avoid getting trapped in a cycle of fear and despair. How do we engage with apocalyptic narratives without succumbing to fatalism? It is critical to warn against the dangers of fatalism, because fatalism can lead to inaction, apathy, and a self-fulfilling prophecy of collapse. If we believe that the future is predetermined and that nothing we do can change it, we are less likely to take action to address the challenges we face. Fatalistic thinking can discourage individuals from engaging in climate activism, political participation, or personal self-improvement. It can also lead to a sense of resignation and despair, making it harder to find meaning and purpose in life. How do we break free from the trap of fatalistic thinking? The most effective way to accomplish this is by actively imagining alternative futures that are more just, sustainable, and hopeful. Critical examination of dominant narratives of collapse is the first step. Technologies, social movements, and cultural shifts all have the potential to create a better world. We can harness the power of technology to develop clean energy sources, improve healthcare, and enhance education. We can support social movements that are working to promote equality, justice, and sustainability. We can foster cultural shifts that prioritize compassion, empathy, and community. By imagining alternative futures, we can create a sense of hope and inspire action. What kind of world do you want to create? Even in the face of daunting challenges, it is still possible to find hope, meaning, and purpose by focusing on what we can control, building strong communities, and working towards a better future. By taking action, we can reclaim our sense of agency and empower ourselves to create positive change. By connecting with others, we can build supportive communities that offer hope and resilience. By focusing on what truly matters, we can find meaning and purpose in our lives, even in the face of adversity. What small steps can you take today to create a more hopeful future? Ultimately, it is not enough to simply understand the roots of doomerism. We must also actively work to create a more hopeful and sustainable future. But where do we even begin to build that brighter future? Even as we strive towards a brighter future, we must first deconstruct the end of the world mindset that so profoundly grips the doomer generation. This requires dissecting the cognitive distortions that fuel catastrophic thinking and understanding how media bias and anxiety amplify these fears. By challenging the narrative of inevitable collapse, we can begin to reclaim agency and cultivate a more balanced perspective. A crucial first step is identifying and analyzing common cognitive distortions. These are the faulty patterns of thinking that can lead to exaggerated or irrational beliefs. Magnification, for instance, leads individuals to overestimate the likelihood and severity of negative events. A minor setback at work becomes a sign of impending job loss. A local weather anomaly signifies irreversible climate change. Conversely, minimization causes us to underestimate our own ability to cope. We dismiss our skills and resources, convincing ourselves that we are helpless in the face of overwhelming challenges. Emotional reasoning, another common distortion, involves believing that our feelings are accurate reflections of reality. I feel anxious about the future, therefore the future must be bleak, exemplifies this flawed logic. Specific examples abound in the context of climate change, where even small increases in global temperature can be magnified into apocalyptic scenarios, while our collective capacity for innovation and adaptation is minimized. In the realm of economic instability, a market downturn can trigger catastrophic fears of a complete financial collapse. Political polarization fuels emotional reasoning, where disagreements are perceived as existential threats to societal order. How can we disentangle ourselves from these cognitive traps and cultivate a more rational assessment of the world around us? Adding fuel to this fire is the availability heuristic, a mental shortcut that leads us to overemphasize information that is readily available. This is amplified by media bias, where news outlets often prioritize negative and sensational events to capture attention. The constant bombardment of negative news creates a skewed perception of reality, making the world seem far more dangerous and unstable than it actually is. Studies have shown a clear correlation between media consumption and mental health, with increased exposure to negative news leading to higher levels of anxiety and depression. Consider how easily we can recall dramatic stories of violence or disaster, while overlooking the countless acts of kindness, innovation, and resilience that occur every day. The overrepresentation of negative events in the media skews our perception of risk, making us believe that negative outcomes are more likely than they actually are. This creates a self-reinforcing cycle of fear and anxiety as we become increasingly vigilant for threats and less attuned to positive developments. How can we curate our media consumption to promote a more balanced and realistic worldview? It's important to recognize that anxiety and fear, while natural human emotions, can impair rational decision-making. When we are anxious, our cognitive function is compromised, leading to impulsive or avoidant behaviors. For example, fear of economic collapse can lead individuals to hoard resources, make risky investment decisions, or withdraw from social engagement. This can create a self-fulfilling prophecy, as these behaviors exacerbate economic instability and undermine social cohesion. Psychological research consistently demonstrates the negative effects of stress and anxiety on cognitive function, including impaired attention, memory, and problem-solving abilities. When faced with complex challenges, such as climate change or political polarization, anxiety can cloud our judgment and prevent us from engaging in constructive dialogue and finding effective solutions. How can we manage our anxiety and fear to make more rational and informed decisions? Ultimately, we must challenge the narrative of inevitable collapse. The future is not predetermined, but rather shaped by our choices and actions. History is filled with examples of societies that have successfully overcome crises and transitioned to more sustainable and equitable systems. The Renaissance, for example, emerged from the devastation of the Black Death, ushering in an era of unprecedented artistic, scientific, and cultural flourishing. The environmental movement of the 20th century arose in response to widespread pollution and ecological destruction, leading to significant policy changes and increased environmental awareness. These examples demonstrate the power of human resilience and the capacity for positive transformation, even in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges. By critically examining the narratives of doom and gloom, and by recognizing the potential for positive change, we can reclaim our agency and build a more hopeful future. What specific actions can we take to challenge the narrative of inevitable collapse and create a more positive vision for the future? This brings us to the concept of radical acceptance as a tool for empowerment. We must acknowledge the limits of individual control over systemic issues. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by the scale and complexity of challenges like climate change, economic inequality, and political polarization. Trying to single-handedly solve these global problems is not only futile, but also likely to lead to burnout and despair. Accepting the limits of our individual control is not about giving up. It's about recognizing where we can make a difference and focusing our energy accordingly. Radical acceptance, as developed in dialectical behavior therapy, DBT, by Marsha Linehan, offers a powerful framework for navigating these challenges. Radical acceptance involves accepting reality as it is, without resistance or judgment. This does not mean condoning injustice or giving up on our values. It means acknowledging the present moment as a starting point for action. When we resist reality, we create unnecessary suffering for ourselves. We become trapped in a cycle of anger, frustration, and resentment, which drains our energy and prevents us from focusing on what we can change. Radical acceptance allows us to break free from this cycle, cultivate inner peace, and focus our energy on making positive changes in our lives and communities. Imagine, for example, accepting the reality of political polarization without becoming consumed by anger and resentment. This allows us to engage in constructive dialogue, advocate for our values, and work towards building bridges across divides. How can radical acceptance help us reduce suffering and cultivate inner peace in the face of overwhelming challenges? We can then shift our focus to what can be influenced. Even if we cannot solve global problems on our own, we can still make a difference in our own lives and communities. This involves identifying areas where we do have control and focusing our energy on making positive changes in those areas. Individual actions, like reducing consumption, supporting ethical businesses, and engaging in local activism, can have a ripple effect, inspiring others and contributing to broader systemic change. Consider, for example, the power of individual choices to reduce our carbon footprint. By adopting sustainable lifestyle practices, such as reducing meat consumption, using public transportation, and conserving energy, we can collectively reduce our impact on the environment. Supporting ethical businesses that prioritize sustainability and fair labor practices can also help to create a more just and equitable economy. Engaging in local activism, such as volunteering for a community organization or advocating for policy changes, can empower us to shape our communities and create positive change. What specific areas in your life can you influence to create a more positive impact? It's important to differentiate between acceptance and resignation. Acceptance does not mean giving up or condoning injustice. It means acknowledging reality as a starting point for action. Resignation, on the other hand, involves surrendering to despair and believing that nothing can be done to improve the situation. Accepting the reality of climate change, for example, does not mean resigning ourselves to ecological collapse. It means acknowledging the severity of the problem and taking action to reduce our carbon footprint, advocate for policy changes, and support sustainable solutions. Accepting the reality of economic inequality does not mean condoning injustice. It means acknowledging the systemic barriers that prevent people from achieving economic security and working to create a more equitable society. How can we distinguish between acceptance and resignation and ensure that we are always moving forward with intention? In order to move forward, we must find ways of building resilience in a fractured world. This requires cultivating mindfulness and self-compassion, strengthening social connections, finding meaningful activities, and developing healthy coping mechanisms. These practices provide the foundation for navigating challenges and maintaining hope in the face of adversity. Mindfulness and self-compassion are essential tools for building resilience and coping with stress. Mindfulness involves paying attention to the present moment without judgment, allowing us to observe our thoughts and feelings without getting carried away by them. Self-compassion involves treating ourselves with kindness and understanding, especially when we are struggling or experiencing difficult emotions. Meditation, deep breathing exercises, and other mindfulness practices have been shown to reduce anxiety, improve emotional regulation, and increase overall well-being. Self-compassion can help us to overcome feelings of shame and self-criticism, allowing us to approach challenges with greater resilience and self-acceptance. Dr. Kristin Neff's research highlights the transformative power of self-compassion in fostering emotional well-being and resilience. How can we incorporate mindfulness and self-compassion into our daily lives to build greater resilience? Strong social connections buffer against stress and promote well-being. Spending time with loved ones, joining social groups, and volunteering in the community can provide a sense of belonging, support, and connection. Studies consistently demonstrate the link between social support and mental health, with strong social connections associated with lower rates of depression, anxiety, and other mental health problems. Social connections can also provide a sense of purpose and meaning, as we contribute to something larger than ourselves and feel valued by others. Engaging in activities that foster connection, such as joining a book club, volunteering at a local charity, or simply spending quality time with friends and family, can significantly enhance our resilience and overall well-being. How can we cultivate stronger social connections to build a more supportive and resilient community. Actively seek out meaningful activities that bring joy, purpose, and a sense of accomplishment. Engaging in creative expression, physical activity, learning new skills, and helping others can provide a sense of fulfillment and purpose, counteracting feelings of hopelessness and despair. Creative activities, such as painting, writing, or playing music, can provide an outlet for emotional expression and self-discovery. Physical activities, such as running, swimming, or dancing, can improve mood, reduce stress, and boost energy levels. Learning new skills can provide a sense of accomplishment and mastery, enhancing our self-esteem and confidence. Helping others, whether through volunteering or simply offering a listening ear, can provide a sense of purpose and connection. Finding our ikigai, that Japanese concept of a reason for being, can guide us towards activities that align with our values and bring us a deep sense of fulfillment. What activities bring you joy and purpose, and how can you incorporate them more fully into your life? Finally, developing healthy coping mechanisms is a necessity, such as exercise, healthy eating, and spending time in nature. Conversely, relying on unhealthy coping mechanisms like substance abuse, excessive screen time, and social isolation can exacerbate feelings of hopelessness and despair. Exercise releases endorphins, which have mood-boosting effects. Healthy eating provides our bodies with the nutrients they need to function optimally. Spending time in nature can reduce stress and improve overall well-being. Avoiding unhealthy coping mechanisms, such as excessive alcohol consumption or spending hours scrolling through social media, is essential for protecting our mental and emotional health. Building a repertoire of healthy coping mechanisms allows us to navigate challenges with greater resilience and maintain a sense of hope in the face of adversity. What healthy coping mechanisms can you develop to manage stress and enhance your well-being? Ultimately, building resilience provides the bedrock for cultivating hope through meaningful action. This involves connecting to something bigger than oneself, finding purpose in the face of uncertainty, recognizing the power of collective action, and embracing the role of the Duma as a hopeful catalyst. By taking these steps, we can transform despair into a powerful force for positive change. Connecting to something bigger than oneself can be a powerful antidote to feelings of hopelessness. Whether it's a cause, a community, or a spiritual practice, finding ways to connect with something that transcends our individual concerns can provide a sense of purpose, meaning, and belonging. Volunteering for a cause we care about, joining a religious or spiritual organization, or engaging in environmental activism can all provide a sense of connection to something larger than ourselves. This connection can help us to overcome feelings of isolation and despair, and to find meaning and purpose in our lives, even in the face of uncertainty and challenges. What causes or communities resonate with you, and how can you connect with them more deeply? Even when faced with uncertainty and challenges, it is still possible to find purpose and meaning by focusing on what we value and what we can contribute to the world. This involves identifying our core values, setting meaningful goals, and taking action to align our lives with our values. It also involves recognizing that our contributions, however small they may seem, can make a difference in the lives of others and in the world around us. Even in the face of daunting challenges, we can find purpose in acts of kindness, creativity, and service. By focusing on what truly matters, we can cultivate a sense of meaning and purpose that sustains us through difficult times. What are your core values, and how can you align your life with them more fully? Collective action is more powerful than individual efforts. By working together, we can create meaningful change and build a more just, sustainable, and equitable world. Social movements have historically played a vital role in addressing issues like civil rights, environmental protection, and economic justice. These movements demonstrate the power of collective action to challenge injustice, transform systems, and create a more hopeful future. By joining forces with others who share our values and concerns, we can amplify our impact and create meaningful change that would be impossible to achieve on our own. How can we participate in collective action to create a more just and sustainable world? As we have seen, the Doomer generation's heightened awareness of societal problems positions them to be catalysts for positive change, capable of creating a more just, sustainable, and meaningful world. The very anxieties that fuel their despair can also be a source of motivation, driving them to seek solutions and create a better future. By embracing their role as hopeful catalysts, the Doomer generation can transform their anxieties into a powerful force for positive change. They are uniquely positioned to lead the way towards a more sustainable, equitable, and meaningful world. What steps can the Doomer generation take to embrace their role as hopeful catalysts and create a better future for all? Even as the Doomer stands on the precipice, staring into the abyss, the possibility of hope remains. As the Doomer generation embraces its potential as a hopeful catalyst, the path forward requires cultivating inner resources to navigate the overwhelming anxieties of the modern world. This involves not only understanding the systemic issues at play, but also developing personal practices that promote mental and emotional well-being. Mindfulness, the practice of present moment awareness, offers a powerful tool for grounding ourselves amidst the chaos and finding peace in the face of uncertainty. Mindfulness is more than just a buzzword. It's a collection of techniques designed to cultivate presence and reduce reactivity. Mindful breathing exercises, for instance, involve focusing attention on the sensation of each inhale and exhale, anchoring us to the present moment and interrupting cycles of anxious thought. Body scan meditations guide us to systematically scan our bodies, noticing sensations without judgment, fostering a deeper connection to our physical selves and reducing bodily tension associated with stress. Mindful walking encourages us to pay attention to the sensations of walking, the feeling of our feet on the ground, the movement of our bodies, transforming a mundane activity into an opportunity for presence and awareness. These practices are not about escaping reality, but rather about engaging with it more fully and skillfully. By practicing these techniques regularly, individuals can learn to reduce their reactivity to negative news and social media triggers, creating space for a more balanced and grounded perspective. Consider, for example, how a few minutes of mindful breathing before checking the news can help to prevent being swept away by anxiety-provoking headlines. How can these simple yet powerful practices help us navigate the overwhelming stimuli of the modern world? A crucial element of mindfulness in the digital age involves combating information overload. The constant stream of news, social media updates, and notifications can overwhelm our nervous systems and exacerbate feelings of anxiety and powerlessness. Limiting social media use, even for short periods, can significantly reduce exposure to negative content and create space for reflection. Curating news sources, focusing on reputable and objective outlets, and avoiding sensationalized or biased reporting can help to filter out noise and maintain a more balanced perspective. Practicing digital detoxes, setting aside specific times each day or week to disconnect from technology altogether, allows us to fully recharge our minds and bodies. It is through creating space for reflection and contemplation that we begin to process our experiences and develop a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. When do you feel the most overwhelmed by information, and what steps can you take to create healthier boundaries with technology? The ultimate goal of mindfulness is to find peace in the present moment. This involves shifting our focus from anxieties about the future to an appreciation for the beauty and simplicity of the here and now. Cultivating gratitude for simple pleasures, like a warm cup of coffee, a sunny day, or a kind word from a friend, can help us to reframe our perspective and appreciate the good in our lives. Engaging fully in sensory experiences, savoring the taste of food, listening to the sounds of nature, or admiring a work of art can bring us into the present moment and awaken our senses. Finding joy in everyday activities, approaching mundane tasks with curiosity and mindfulness can transform them into opportunities for connection and fulfillment. The capacity to find joy and beauty in the present, even amidst uncertainty and challenges, is a hallmark of resilience and inner peace. How can you cultivate a greater appreciation for the simple pleasures of life and find joy in the present moment? Furthermore, mindfulness serves as a valuable tool for emotional regulation. By developing greater awareness of our emotions, we can learn to observe them without judgment, challenge negative thought patterns, and cultivate self-compassion. When we notice ourselves feeling anxious or overwhelmed, we can use mindfulness techniques to pause, observe our emotions, and acknowledge them without getting carried away. We can then challenge negative thought patterns, questioning the validity of our assumptions and considering alternative perspectives. Cultivating self-compassion involves treating ourselves with kindness and understanding, especially when we are struggling or experiencing difficult emotions. This involves recognizing that we are not alone in our suffering, that everyone experiences challenges and setbacks, and that we deserve to be treated with care and respect. By developing these skills, we can learn to navigate our emotions more effectively, reduce our reactivity to stress, and cultivate greater emotional resilience. What steps can you take to develop greater awareness of your emotions and learn to regulate them more effectively? As the Doomer generation actively engages in these practices, they can then begin reframing the narratives that fuel their hopelessness by actively challenging negative predictions and cultivating a more empowering vision for the future. The first step in this process is identifying the specific negative narratives that contribute to their feelings of despair. Many Doomers are affected by climate change, economic instability, and political polarization. Each area provides a source of anxiety and fear. It's important for people to understand how these narratives impact their thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. What are the core beliefs underlying these narratives? Are they based on solid evidence, or are they fueled by speculation and exaggeration? How do these narratives make you feel? Anxious, hopeless, angry? Do they motivate you to take action, or do they paralyze you with fear? By critically examining these narratives, we can begin to understand their power over us and to develop strategies for challenging them. What are the specific negative narratives that dominate your thinking, and how do they impact your emotional state? The next step involves challenging catastrophic thinking. This involves questioning the evidence for catastrophic predictions, considering alternative explanations, and focusing on what can be controlled. Instead of assuming the worst-case scenario, we can ask ourselves, what is the actual evidence for this prediction? Are there alternative explanations for what is happening? What can I do to mitigate the risks or improve the situation? This is the essence of logical thinking and investigation. We can focus our energy on taking concrete steps to address the challenges we face, rather than getting consumed by fear and anxiety. For example, instead of focusing on the worst-case scenarios of climate change, we can focus on reducing our carbon footprint, supporting sustainable businesses, and advocating for policy changes. Instead of fixating on the potential for economic collapse, we can focus on building our financial literacy, diversifying our investments, and supporting local businesses. By shifting our focus from what we fear to what we can control, we can reclaim a sense of agency and empowerment. Challenging negative narratives also opens the door to finding opportunities for growth within challenges and setbacks. Difficult experiences can be valuable teachers, providing us with opportunities to develop new skills, cultivate resilience, and gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. Identifying lessons learned from difficult experiences can help us to grow and evolve as individuals. For example, a job loss can be an opportunity to explore new career paths, develop new skills, and discover hidden talents. A health crisis can be an opportunity to prioritize our well-being, cultivate self-compassion, and connect with loved ones. Developing new skills can empower us to navigate challenges more effectively. Learning a new language, mastering a new technology, or developing a new hobby can enhance our self-esteem, broaden our horizons, and provide us with a sense of accomplishment. Cultivating a sense of inner strength can help us to overcome adversity and emerge stronger on the other side. By reframing challenges as opportunities for growth, we can transform setbacks into stepping stones towards a more fulfilling life. What lessons have you learned from difficult experiences, and how have they helped you to grow as a person? The ultimate goal of reframing negative narratives is to create a more hopeful and empowering vision for the future. This involves shifting our focus from what we fear to what we want to create. What kind of world do we want to live in? A world characterized by justice, sustainability, and meaning. Visualizing this world and identifying concrete steps that we can take to contribute to that vision can provide us with a sense of purpose and direction. Instead of dwelling on the problems, we can focus on the solutions. We can visualize a world powered by renewable energy, where communities are thriving and where everyone has access to basic necessities. We can identify concrete steps that we can take to contribute to that vision, such as supporting renewable energy initiatives, volunteering in our communities, and advocating for social justice. By creating a more hopeful and empowering vision for the future, we can inspire ourselves and others to take action and build a better world. What kind of world do you want to create, and what concrete steps can you take to contribute to that vision? This vision then empowers a sense of purpose and meaning, connecting values to action and building a better world through our everyday contributions. This involves aligning actions with core values. Identifying core values is a powerful tool for creating a more meaningful and fulfilling life. What do you value most in life? Honesty, compassion, creativity, justice. Once you have identified your core values, you can begin to align your actions with those values. This involves making choices that are consistent with what you believe in and taking steps to live a life that reflects your values. If you value environmental sustainability, you can reduce your consumption, support ethical businesses, and advocate for environmental protection. If you value social justice, you can volunteer for a cause you care about, support marginalized communities, and advocate for policy changes that promote equality. By aligning your actions with your values, you can create a life that is more authentic, purposeful, and meaningful. Contributing to something bigger than oneself provides purpose and meaning in life. Finding ways to make a positive impact on the world, whether through volunteering, mentoring, or simply offering a listening ear, can provide a sense of fulfillment and connection. Mentoring young people, sharing your knowledge and experience with the next generation, can provide a sense of purpose and connection. Supporting local artists, attending their performances, and purchasing their work can help to strengthen communities and promote cultural expression. Participating in community initiatives, working alongside others to address local challenges, can provide a sense of belonging and empowerment. By contributing to something bigger than ourselves, we can find purpose and meaning in our lives and make a positive difference in the world. What are your talents and skills, and how can you use them to contribute to something bigger than yourself? Even small acts of kindness, generosity, and service have the power to make a positive impact on the world. Offering a helping hand to a neighbor, donating to a charity, or simply smiling at a stranger can brighten someone's day and create a ripple effect of positivity. These small acts can create a more compassionate, connected, and supportive world. They remind us of our shared humanity and the power of kindness to heal and uplift. By practicing these small acts regularly, we can contribute to a more positive and harmonious world, one act of kindness at a time. Finally, it's important to reinforce the importance of building strong communities and connecting with others who share values and goals. Joining a local activist group, working alongside others to address social and environmental issues, can provide a sense of purpose, connection, and empowerment. Attending community events, participating in local festivals, and engaging in neighborhood gatherings can foster a sense of belonging and strengthen social bonds. Creating a support network of like-minded individuals, sharing experiences, offering support, and celebrating successes can provide a sense of community and resilience. By building strong communities and connecting with others, we can create a more just, sustainable, and meaningful world. How can you connect with others who share your values and goals, and what steps can you take to build stronger communities? These actions give the doomer a chance to influence the world and provide a sense of purpose, but it's equally important to find peace within themselves. The anxieties of the doomer generation often stem from a deep awareness of impermanence, the understanding that everything is constantly changing and that nothing lasts forever. Embracing this concept, rather than resisting it, can be a source of liberation and peace. Observing the changing seasons, witnessing the life cycle of plants and animals, and acknowledging the ebb and flow of emotions can help to cultivate a deeper understanding of impermanence. We see that even in the face of decay and loss, there is also renewal and growth. By accepting this, we can cultivate greater equanimity and resilience in the face of life's inevitable changes. Understanding impermanence can be particularly helpful for the doomer generation, whose anxieties often revolve around fears of environmental collapse, economic instability, and social upheaval. By recognizing that change is a constant, we can learn to adapt more effectively to new realities and find peace amidst uncertainty. As the doomer generation comes to terms with the transient nature of existence, a powerful antidote to despair lies in actively cultivating gratitude and appreciation for the present moment. The science of gratitude reveals its profound impact on our psychological and physiological well-being, acting as a buffer against negativity and fostering a sense of contentment. Research consistently demonstrates that individuals who regularly practice gratitude experience reduced symptoms of depression and anxiety, improved sleep quality, and stronger social bonds. Studies by researchers like Robert Emmons and Michael McCullough have shown that simply writing down a few things one is grateful for each day can significantly enhance overall happiness and life satisfaction. These findings underscore the tangible benefits of consciously focusing on the positive aspects of our lives, shifting our attention from what is lacking to what is already present. But how can we effectively integrate gratitude into our daily routines and harness its transformative power? One of the simplest yet most effective gratitude practices is gratitude journaling. This involves setting aside a few minutes each day to write down 3 to 5 things for which you are grateful, focusing on specific details and sensory experiences. Instead of simply writing, "I'm grateful for my family," try, "I'm grateful for the way my daughter's laughter fills the room when we play games together," or "I appreciate the warmth of the sun on my skin during my morning walk." This level of specificity enhances the emotional impact of the practice and makes it more meaningful. Gratitude meditations, which involve focusing your attention on feelings of gratitude and appreciation, can also be powerful tools for cultivating a positive mindset. These meditations often involve visualizing people, experiences, or things for which you are grateful, allowing yourself to fully experience the positive emotions associated with them. Expressing appreciation to others, whether through a heartfelt thank you note or a simple act of kindness, not only benefits the recipient, but also amplifies your own feelings of gratitude and connection. These practices, when incorporated into daily life, act as powerful recalibrations of one's focus, drawing the mind away from the precipice of negativity that defines the doomer's landscape. What small steps can you take today to incorporate these practices into your own life and begin cultivating a more grateful heart? Even in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges, it is possible to actively seek out things to be grateful for as a way to shift perspective and challenge negative thought patterns. This involves intentionally focusing on the small things that often go unnoticed, such as the beauty of nature, the kindness of strangers, or the simple pleasures of life. Perhaps it's the vibrant colors of a sunset, the sound of birds singing in the morning, or the comforting aroma of freshly brewed coffee. By training our minds to notice and appreciate these small moments, we can begin to challenge the pervasive negativity that often clouds our perception. This deliberate shift in focus acts as a form of cognitive restructuring, helping to interrupt cycles of negative thinking and create space for more positive emotions. It's a recognition that even amidst despair, pockets of beauty and goodness persist, offering glimmers of hope and resilience. How might actively seeking out these moments of gratitude change your overall outlook? Ultimately, gratitude can be seen as a form of resistance against despair and cynicism, a conscious choice to focus on the positive aspects of life and to appreciate what we have, especially when facing seemingly insurmountable odds. In a world that often seems to be spiraling towards chaos and destruction, choosing to focus on the good, however small, is an act of defiance. It is a refusal to succumb to the forces that seek to diminish our joy and hope. Gratitude becomes a powerful tool for reclaiming agency and finding meaning in the face of adversity. It's a declaration that even in the darkest of times, we can still find reasons to be thankful, and that these reasons are worth fighting for. In what ways can you consciously choose gratitude as a form of resistance against the prevailing sense of hopelessness? This resistance is further strengthened through fostering connection and community. The importance of strong social connections for mental health and resilience cannot be overstated. Community acts as a powerful buffer against stress and promotes overall well-being. Studies have consistently demonstrated a strong link between social support and mental health, showing that individuals with strong social connections are less likely to experience depression, anxiety, and other mental health challenges. Spending time with loved ones, joining social groups, and volunteering in the community are all ways to strengthen social bonds and cultivate a sense of belonging. These connections provide us with a sense of purpose, validation, and support, reminding us that we are not alone in our struggles. Why is social connection so vital to our mental and emotional well-being, and how can we cultivate stronger relationships in our lives? Building authentic relationships requires cultivating trust, empathy, and mutual respect. This involves practicing active listening, giving others your full attention, and truly hearing what they have to say without judgment or interruption. It also involves expressing vulnerability, sharing your thoughts and feelings openly and honestly, and allowing yourself to be seen and known by others. Offering support to others, lending a helping hand, or simply offering a listening ear strengthens bonds and creates a sense of reciprocity. When we feel connected to others, we are more likely to experience feelings of joy, contentment, and resilience. Consider the transformative power of a genuine connection with another person, a space where you can be your true self without fear of judgment. What small steps can you take to foster greater authenticity and connection in your relationships? Creating inclusive communities that welcome diversity and promote a sense of belonging for all is crucial for fostering collective well-being. This involves challenging prejudice and discrimination, celebrating differences, and creating safe spaces for marginalized groups. When we embrace diversity, we create a richer and more vibrant society where everyone feels valued and respected. This necessitates challenging our own biases and assumptions, actively listening to the experiences of others, and advocating for policies that promote equality and inclusion. Creating spaces where people from all walks of life can come together to share their stories, celebrate their cultures, and support one another creates a powerful antidote to the isolation and alienation that often fuels despair. What steps can you take to create more inclusive and welcoming communities in your own sphere of influence? Ultimately, community can be a powerful source of strength and resilience, a collective resource that can help individuals cope with challenges, find purpose, and create positive change. Throughout history, communities have come together to overcome adversity, whether in the face of natural disasters, economic hardship, or social injustice. These examples demonstrate the power of collective action and the importance of standing together in times of need. By working together, sharing resources, and supporting one another, communities can create a sense of hope and empowerment, even in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges. Think of the countless examples of communities rallying together to rebuild after a disaster, to fight for social justice, or to create a better future for their children. These stories remind us that we are stronger together, and that by working collaboratively, we can create a more just, sustainable, and meaningful world. What role can community play in fostering resilience and empowering individuals to create positive change? This sense of collective empowerment begins with embracing vulnerability and authenticity. Brené Brown's extensive research on vulnerability highlights its crucial role in fostering connection, creativity, and courage. Vulnerability, as Brown defines it, involves embracing uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure. It is about being willing to show up and be seen, even when we can't control the outcome. It requires letting go of the need to be perfect and accepting ourselves, flaws and all. In her widely viewed TED Talk and numerous books, Brown argues that vulnerability is not a weakness, but a strength, a key ingredient for living a wholehearted life. It requires immense courage to show up as our true selves, imperfections and all. How can embracing vulnerability lead to a more fulfilling and connected life? Authenticity is cultivated when you align your thoughts, feelings, and actions, integrating your inner and outer selves. This involves identifying and challenging limiting beliefs, expressing your true self, and living in accordance with your values. To cultivate authenticity, it's important to get in touch with our deepest desires and values, to understand what truly matters to us. What are your core values? What do you stand for? Once we have a clear understanding of our values, we can begin to align our actions with them, making choices that are consistent with what we believe in. This may involve making difficult decisions, challenging the status quo, or taking risks, but it ultimately leads to a life that is more authentic, purposeful, and fulfilling. In what ways can you cultivate greater authenticity in your thoughts, feelings, and actions? Overcoming shame and fear, which often prevent individuals from embracing vulnerability and authenticity, requires a conscious effort. Shame and fear are powerful emotions that can keep us trapped in patterns of self-doubt, self-criticism, and avoidance. To overcome these emotions, it is essential to practice self-compassion, challenge negative self-talk, and seek support from trusted others. Self-compassion involves treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer to a friend, recognizing that you are not alone in your struggles and that everyone experiences challenges and setbacks. Challenging negative self-talk involves questioning the validity of your thoughts, reframing negative statements, and replacing them with more positive and empowering ones. Seeking support from trusted others involves sharing your struggles with people who can offer empathy, understanding, and encouragement. What practical strategies can you use to overcome shame and fear and embrace vulnerability and authenticity? This allows vulnerability to become a path to deeper connection and intimacy with others, giving individuals a sense of being seen, heard, and accepted for who they truly are. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we create space for others to connect with us on a deeper level. Sharing personal stories, expressing emotions, and asking for help can strengthen relationships and create a sense of belonging. It is through vulnerability that we build trust, foster empathy, and create a sense of intimacy. When we allow ourselves to be seen and known by others, we experience a sense of liberation and acceptance, freeing ourselves from the need to hide behind masks or facades. How can embracing vulnerability deepen your connection with others and create a greater sense of belonging? This sense of belonging, then, gives the strength to cultivate inner strength through self-compassion. Kristin Neff's groundbreaking work has shone a light on self-compassion, emphasizing its crucial role in building resilience and promoting well-being. Self-compassion involves treating yourself with kindness, recognizing your common humanity, and practicing mindfulness. It is about offering yourself the same care and understanding that you would offer to a friend, especially when you are struggling or experiencing difficult emotions. Neff distinguishes self-compassion from self-pity, which involves wallowing in your suffering, and self-esteem, which is based on external validation. Self-compassion, on the other hand, is an internal resource that can help you navigate challenges and setbacks with greater ease and resilience. How does self-compassion differ from self-pity and self-esteem, and why is it so essential for well-being? Practicing self-kindness is the antidote to negative self-talk. This involves challenging negative self-talk, offering words of encouragement, and engaging in self-soothing activities. Treat yourself with the same warmth and understanding that you would offer to a dear friend. When you make a mistake, resist the urge to beat yourself up. Instead, acknowledge your imperfections, learn from your experience, and move forward with self-acceptance. Offer yourself words of encouragement, reminding yourself of your strengths, your accomplishments, and your potential. Engage in self-soothing activities, such as taking a warm bath, listening to calming music, or spending time in nature. These small acts of self-care can help you to cultivate a more positive and compassionate relationship with yourself. What small acts of self-kindness can you incorporate into your daily routine? Recognizing common humanity involves understanding that suffering is a universal human experience and that you are not alone in your struggles. This involves connecting with others who share similar challenges, offering support and empathy, and recognizing the interconnectedness of all beings. Remember that everyone experiences difficulties, setbacks, and moments of pain. You are not alone in your suffering. Connect with others who understand what you are going through, share your experiences, and offer support. By recognizing our shared humanity, we can cultivate greater empathy, compassion, and connection. How can recognizing your common humanity help you to cope with challenges and build stronger connections with others? Self-compassion becomes a source of resilience, helping individuals cope with stress, overcome setbacks, and cultivate inner strength. When facing difficult situations, self-compassion allows you to acknowledge your pain, recognize your common humanity, and treat yourself with kindness. Studies have shown that self-compassion can reduce anxiety, depression, and burnout, while promoting self-acceptance, motivation, and overall well-being. It provides a source of inner strength that can help you navigate the inevitable challenges of life with greater ease and resilience. How can self-compassion serve as a powerful source of resilience in your life? These concepts provide a foundation to move forward, but this is just the beginning. The insights gained here can be used to navigate the complexities of the political and economic realms, and that will be the focus of our next section. From this wellspring of inner strength, fueled by self-compassion, emerges the capacity to extend empathy outward, recognizing the inherent interconnectedness between our own well-being and that of society as a whole. It's a natural progression, a widening of the circle of compassion that begins with ourselves and radiates outwards to encompass all beings. Individuals who have learned to treat themselves with kindness and understanding are far more likely to extend that same kindness and understanding to others, recognizing their shared humanity and the inherent worth of every individual. This outward extension of empathy is not merely a matter of altruism. It is a recognition that our own well-being is inextricably linked to the well-being of those around us, and that a just and equitable society benefits everyone. Consider the concept of Ubuntu, a Nguni Bantu term that encapsulates the idea of humanity towards others. Ubuntu emphasizes the interconnectedness of all people and the importance of community, suggesting that a person is a person through other people. How does understanding our interconnectedness inspire us to act with greater compassion and social responsibility? However, confronting the immense challenges facing our world, from climate change to economic inequality to social injustice, can often lead to feelings of apathy and indifference. The sheer scale of these problems can feel overwhelming, leading us to believe that our actions are insignificant or that the situation is simply hopeless. These feelings of apathy and indifference are often rooted in fear and a lack of self-compassion. When we are overwhelmed by stress and anxiety, it becomes more difficult to connect with others and to feel empathy for their suffering. We may begin to shut down emotionally, distancing ourselves from the problems of the world in an attempt to protect ourselves from further pain. Recognizing these negative thought patterns, such as "it's hopeless" or "my actions won't make a difference," is the first step towards challenging them. It requires consciously reframing our perspective, recognizing that even small actions can have a significant impact and that collective action can create meaningful change. What strategies can we use to overcome apathy and cultivate a sense of agency in the face of overwhelming challenges? Compassion, when genuinely embraced, serves as a potent catalyst for social action, igniting within us a fervent desire to alleviate suffering and champion a more just and equitable world. This motivation transcends mere intellectual understanding. It stems from a deep emotional connection to the plight of others, a recognition of our shared humanity, and an unwavering commitment to creating positive change. By anchoring our actions in compassion, we tap into an inexhaustible reservoir of energy and purpose, transforming activism from a burden into a fulfilling expression of our values. Focus your attention to particular causes that resonate with your most deeply held convictions, be it safeguarding the environment, diminishing poverty, or advocating for human rights. What passions ignite your soul and beckon you to contribute to a more compassionate world? Extending compassion to those with whom we disagree politically, especially in our current climate of intense polarization, represents a profound challenge, yet one that is absolutely essential for fostering dialogue, understanding, and ultimately progress. Recognizing the shared humanity of our political opponents, acknowledging their inherent worth as individuals, and approaching conversations with a genuine desire to understand their perspectives can pave the way for meaningful engagement. This does not necessitate abandoning our own convictions or compromising our values, but rather approaching disagreements with empathy and respect, seeking common ground and building bridges rather than reinforcing divisions. As the philosopher John Rawls argued in his theory of justice, we should strive to create a society that is fair and just for all, even those with whom we disagree. How can we bridge ideological divides and cultivate greater understanding and empathy in our political discourse? This polarization stems from various sources, including socioeconomic disparities, the echo chambers of social media, and the deliberate spread of misinformation. Income inequality breeds resentment and fuels a sense of injustice, while social isolation limits exposure to diverse perspectives and reinforces existing biases. The algorithms that govern social media platforms often create echo chambers, feeding us information that confirms our pre-existing beliefs and shielding us from opposing viewpoints. The deliberate spread of misinformation, often through sophisticated disinformation campaigns, further exacerbates polarization and erodes trust in institutions. Consider how easily misinformation spreads through social media, often amplified by algorithms and shared by individuals who are unaware of its falsity. How can we navigate the complexities of political polarization and promote more informed and constructive dialogue? Falling into cynicism, especially when confronted with the complexities and challenges of the political landscape, is a significant risk, a seductive trap that can lead to disengagement, inaction, and ultimately the undermining of democratic values. Cynicism breeds a sense of hopelessness, a belief that the system is inherently corrupt and that our actions are futile. This can lead to a self-fulfilling prophecy, discouraging individuals from participating in the political process and reinforcing the status quo. As the political theorist Sheldon Walin argued, cynicism can be a form of inverted totalitarianism, where citizens are apathetic and disengaged, allowing those in power to operate unchecked. How can we resist the allure of cynicism and maintain a sense of hope and agency in the face of political challenges? Despite the pervasive sense of disillusionment that often accompanies political engagement, individuals can reclaim their agency by focusing on tangible actions within their sphere of influence. This involves actively participating in the democratic process through voting, contacting elected officials to voice concerns, and supporting grassroots organizations dedicated to advocating for policy changes. Staying informed about candidates and issues, engaging in peaceful protests to raise awareness, and advocating for specific policy reforms are all powerful ways to make your voice heard and contribute to positive change. Remember that even small acts of political engagement can have a ripple effect, inspiring others to get involved and creating a collective force for change. What concrete steps can you take to become more actively engaged in the political process and reclaim your sense of agency? Transcending the limitations of partisan politics requires a shift in focus, a conscious effort to prioritize issues that unite individuals across ideological divides, such as safeguarding the environment, championing economic justice, and upholding universal human rights. These shared values can serve as a foundation for building bridges and fostering collaboration, transcending the narrow confines of partisan bickering. Communitarianism, a political philosophy that emphasizes the importance of community and social responsibility, offers a hopeful vision for a more cooperative and collaborative society. By focusing on shared values and working together towards common goals, we can create a more just and sustainable world for all. How can we move beyond partisan politics and build a more united and collaborative society? Voting with our wallets, making conscious consumer choices that align with our values, represents a powerful form of economic activism, capable of driving significant change in the marketplace and beyond. This involves supporting ethical businesses that prioritize fair labor practices, environmental sustainability, and social responsibility, while simultaneously boycotting companies that engage in harmful practices, such as polluting the environment or exploiting workers. Reducing our consumption of unsustainable products, opting instead for eco-friendly and ethically sourced alternatives, further amplifies the impact of our consumer choices. As consumers, we wield tremendous power to shape the economy and influence corporate behavior. How can we harness the power of our consumer choices to create a more ethical and sustainable economy? Supporting local and sustainable economies provides a tangible way to foster community resilience, reduce our environmental impact, and promote economic justice. Buying from local farmers, artisans, and small businesses not only strengthens the local economy, but also reduces our reliance on global supply chains, which are often associated with environmental degradation and labor exploitation. Farmers' markets, community-supported agriculture, CSA programs, and cooperative businesses offer viable alternatives to the dominant corporate model, fostering a more equitable and sustainable economic system. These initiatives empower local producers, create jobs, and provide consumers with access to fresh, healthy, and ethically sourced products. What role can local and sustainable economies play in building a more resilient and equitable future? Investing in socially responsible companies, those that prioritize environmental sustainability, social justice, and ethical governance, provides another avenue for aligning our financial resources with our values. ESG, environmental, social, and governance investing, offers a framework for evaluating companies based on their environmental impact, social responsibility, and corporate governance practices, allowing investors to make informed decisions that support businesses that are committed to creating a positive impact. Numerous resources are available to help investors find socially responsible investment options, allowing them to align their financial portfolios with their values. How can we leverage our investments to support companies that are creating a more sustainable and equitable world? Addressing economic inequality requires advocating for policies that promote a more just distribution of wealth and opportunity, such as raising the minimum wage, increasing taxes on the wealthy, and expanding access to education and healthcare. These policies aim to create a more level playing field, ensuring that everyone has the opportunity to thrive, regardless of their background or circumstances. Modern monetary theory, MMT, an economic theory that challenges conventional thinking about government debt and spending, offers a hopeful vision for a more equitable and prosperous society. By advocating for policies that address economic inequality, we can create a more just and sustainable world for all. What steps can we take to advocate for policies that promote economic justice and opportunity for all? It is crucial to recognize the inherent interconnectedness of social and environmental issues, understanding that a truly just and sustainable world must address both simultaneously, as they are inextricably linked. Climate change, for instance, disproportionately impacts marginalized communities, exacerbating existing inequalities and creating new forms of injustice. Environmental degradation often has the greatest impact on those who are least able to cope with its consequences, further widening the gap between rich and poor. A holistic approach that addresses both social and environmental challenges is essential for creating a truly just and sustainable world. How can we address social and environmental issues in an integrated and holistic way? Acknowledging the concept of intersectionality, the understanding that individuals experience multiple forms of oppression and privilege based on their race, gender, class, sexual orientation, and other identities, is crucial for creating inclusive movements that address the needs of all members, regardless of their background or identity. An intersectional approach recognizes that different forms of oppression are interconnected and cannot be understood in isolation. Creating inclusive movements requires challenging prejudice and discrimination, celebrating diversity, and creating safe spaces for marginalized groups. What steps can we take to create more inclusive and equitable movements that address the needs of all members? Collective action, when fueled by shared purpose and a commitment to justice, possesses transformative power that far surpasses the limitations of individual efforts, enabling us to achieve meaningful progress in addressing complex societal challenges. History is replete with inspiring examples of social movements that have achieved significant progress in addressing issues like civil rights, environmental protection, and economic justice, demonstrating the power of collective action to create positive change. These movements remind us that when people come together, united by a common cause, they can overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles and create a more just and equitable world. How can we harness the power of collective action to create meaningful change in our communities and beyond? The Doomer generation, armed with a heightened awareness of societal problems and a deep sense of urgency, possesses the potential to emerge as a catalyst for positive change, capable of ushering in a new era of justice, sustainability, and meaning. This transformation involves embracing a new vision of societal revolution, one that transcends the limitations of traditional models and focuses on building resilient communities, fostering economic democracy, and promoting ecological stewardship. This revolution is not about tearing down existing structures, but about building new ones from the ground up, creating a world that is more just, sustainable, and meaningful for all. How can the Doomer generation harness its unique perspective and skills to create a more hopeful future? However, the path of activism is often fraught with challenges, demanding unwavering dedication and resilience in the face of adversity. Activist burnout, characterized by exhaustion, cynicism, and a sense of powerlessness, poses a significant threat to long-term engagement and effectiveness. Recognizing the signs of burnout, such as chronic fatigue, emotional numbness, and a diminished sense of purpose, is crucial for taking proactive steps to prevent it. How can we recognize and prevent activist burnout, ensuring our ability to sustain our efforts for the long haul? Prioritizing self-care, encompassing mindfulness practices, establishing healthy boundaries, and seeking support from trusted confidants is not a luxury, but a fundamental necessity for sustaining activism and preventing burnout. Balancing activism with other essential aspects of life, such as work, relationships, and hobbies, is crucial for maintaining overall well-being and preventing exhaustion. Mindfulness practices, such as meditation and deep breathing, can help to reduce stress and improve focus. Setting boundaries, learning to say no to excessive demands, and prioritizing self-care can help to prevent burnout. Seeking support from trusted friends, family members, or therapists can provide emotional sustenance and guidance during challenging times. How can we integrate self-care practices into our lives to sustain our activism and prevent burnout? Celebrating small victories, recognizing that progress is often incremental and that every effort counts, provides a crucial source of encouragement and motivation along the path of activism. Tracking our progress, acknowledging our accomplishments, and sharing our successes with others can help to maintain a sense of momentum and purpose. Remember that even seemingly small actions can have a ripple effect, inspiring others to get involved and creating a collective force for change. As the anthropologist Margaret Mead famously said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." How can we celebrate small victories and maintain a sense of hope and progress in the face of challenges? Ultimately, finding joy in activism, connecting with like-minded individuals who share our values, celebrating successes, and focusing on the positive impact of our work can transform activism from a burden into a source of fulfillment and inspiration. Engaging in activism in a way that is fun, creative, and personally fulfilling can help to sustain our efforts for the long haul. The key lies in recognizing that the path to a more just and sustainable world is not a sprint, but a marathon, requiring sustained effort, resilience, and a deep sense of joy and purpose. And now we arrive at the most important insight of all. While everything we have explored until now has built a robust framework for moving forward, the most transformative realization centers around understanding the profound interconnectedness that binds all of existence together. What does it mean to truly understand this? And how can this understanding be applied to create meaningful change in your own life? That is the focus of our next and final section. The doomer generation, acutely aware of the world's pressing issues, might find themselves grappling with a perplexing question. How can one maintain hope amidst impending collapse? The answer, perhaps surprisingly, lies in embracing what some call doomer optimism, a perspective that acknowledges the potential for positive transformation precisely because of societal collapse. Doomer optimism isn't about ignoring the very real threats we face, nor is it about blindly believing that everything will magically work out. Instead, it's a pragmatic stance that recognizes collapse, while frightening, can also dismantle old systems, creating opportunities for something better to take root. The collapse-aware movement, for example, embodies this sentiment, acknowledging the likelihood of societal breakdown while simultaneously preparing for a more resilient and sustainable future. What distinguishes doomer optimism from naive hopefulness, and how can we cultivate this perspective in our own lives? History offers numerous examples of societal reset, instances where periods of collapse or upheaval paved the way for significant advancements. The Renaissance, a flowering of art, literature, and science, emerged in the wake of the Black Death, a catastrophic pandemic that decimated Europe's population. The fall of monarchies, often precipitated by revolution and social unrest, led to the rise of democratic ideals and more participatory forms of government. Even the Cold War, a period of intense geopolitical tension, spurred remarkable advancements in technology, from space exploration to the internet. These examples challenge the notion of linear progression, suggesting that societal evolution is not always a smooth upward trajectory, but rather a cyclical process punctuated by periods of crisis and renewal. How does recognizing this historical pattern shift our perspective on the current state of the world? Challenging the myth of linear progress is crucial. We often assume that progress is inevitable, that each generation will automatically be better off than the last. However, history demonstrates that this is not always the case. Societies can stagnate, decline, and even collapse. Doomer optimism embraces the idea that collapse can be a necessary part of the cycle of growth and renewal, similar to the concept of creative destruction in economics, where old, inefficient industries are replaced by new, innovative ones. This perspective encourages us to see collapse not as an end, but as an opportunity to dismantle unjust systems and build something better. It is understanding that what already exists is already collapsing and actively engaging in new creation, not blind faith in a perpetually better tomorrow. If societal progress isn't linear, what responsibilities do we have to shape the future during times of crisis? Collapse, in its disruptive force, can dismantle entrenched power structures and amplify the voices of those who have been historically marginalized. It can expose the flaws and inequalities of existing systems, creating space for new ideas and approaches to emerge. Consider how social movements often gain momentum during times of crisis, when people are more willing to question the status quo and demand change. This disruption of established power creates a unique opportunity to build more equitable, sustainable, and resilient societies, ones that are more attuned to the needs of all people and the planet. If collapse creates opportunities for systemic change, how can we ensure that these opportunities are seized to create a more just world? Capitalism, as the dominant economic system, has faced increasing critiques for its contribution to economic inequality, environmental destruction, and social alienation. The widening gap between the rich and the poor, the environmental costs of unchecked consumerism, and the impact of work-related stress on mental health are all well-documented consequences of a system driven primarily by profit. While some advocate for reforming capitalism from within, others argue that the system is inherently flawed and cannot be fundamentally changed without a more radical transformation. Past attempts to regulate capitalism and mitigate its negative consequences have often fallen short, leading many to believe that a new economic paradigm is needed. Given the limitations of reforming capitalism, what alternative economic models offer a more viable path towards a sustainable and equitable future? Exploring alternative economic models offers a glimpse into a future where social and environmental well-being take precedence over profit maximization. Participatory economics, or PERCON, proposes a decentralized economic system based on participatory decision-making and equitable distribution of resources. The solidarity economy encompasses a network of community-based initiatives that prioritize cooperation, mutual aid, and social justice. The circular economy seeks to minimize waste and maximize resource efficiency through reuse, repair, and recycling. These models, while distinct in their approaches, share a common goal: to create economies that are more just, sustainable, and resilient. What practical steps can we take to support and participate in these alternative economic models? To build a post-capitalist future, we must actively support and participate in initiatives that embody these alternative economic models. Worker cooperatives, where employees own and democratically control the business, offer a more equitable distribution of wealth and decision-making power. Community land trusts, which hold land in trust for the benefit of the community, ensure that housing remains affordable and accessible. Local currencies, which circulate within a specific geographic area, promote local economic activity and reduce reliance on global financial systems. These initiatives, while seemingly small, can collectively create a more just, sustainable, and resilient economy, paving the way for a post-capitalist future. How can we foster the growth of these initiatives and encourage broader participation? Coupled with the critique of capitalism, there is a growing crisis of trust in traditional institutions, such as governments, corporations, and the media. Public trust in these institutions has declined significantly in recent years, fueled by concerns about corruption, incompetence, and a perceived lack of accountability. This crisis of trust undermines social cohesion and makes it more difficult to address complex challenges. Statistics consistently show a decline in public confidence in these institutions, citing factors such as political polarization, economic inequality, and the spread of misinformation. If trust in traditional institutions is eroding, what alternative models can we embrace to foster cooperation and collective action? Decentralization offers a promising path towards rebuilding trust and creating more resilient and democratic systems. Decentralized technologies, such as blockchain, can enable secure and transparent transactions without the need for intermediaries, empowering individuals and communities to take control of their own data and resources. Decentralized governance models, such as liquid democracy and sociocracy, offer alternative approaches to decision-making that prioritize participation, transparency, and accountability. Decentralized autonomous organizations, or DAOs, operate autonomously on a blockchain, governed by code rather than human intervention, potentially revolutionizing how organizations are structured and managed. How can we harness the power of decentralization to create more trustworthy and democratic systems? Exploring decentralized models of governance and decision-making can offer a path beyond centralized control. Liquid democracy allows individuals to either vote directly on issues or delegate their vote to someone they trust, creating a more flexible and responsive form of representation. Sociocracy emphasizes self-organization, consent, and feedback loops, empowering individuals to participate in decision-making processes at all levels of the organization. Decentralized autonomous organizations, or DAOs, utilize blockchain technology to create organizations that are governed by code and operate autonomously, eliminating the need for traditional hierarchies. How can we implement these decentralized models in our own communities and organizations? To foster trust, transparency, and mutual support, we must actively participate in building decentralized communities. These communities, whether online or offline, can provide a sense of belonging, offer mutual aid, and empower individuals to take collective action. By building relationships based on trust and shared values, we can create more resilient and democratic societies, capable of weathering the challenges ahead. These communities can serve as incubators for new ideas and approaches, fostering innovation and experimentation. How can we cultivate trust within these communities and ensure that they remain inclusive and equitable? Nationalism and tribalism, ideologies that emphasize loyalty to one's nation or ethnic group, have historically led to conflict, division, and environmental destruction. These ideologies often foster a sense of superiority and animosity towards those who are perceived as other, undermining social cohesion and hindering cooperation on global challenges. Nationalism can fuel wars and xenophobia, while tribalism can undermine social cohesion and prevent the formation of broader alliances. Given the limitations of nationalism and tribalism, what alternative frameworks can we embrace to foster global cooperation and understanding? In contrast to the divisive nature of nationalism and tribalism, the emergence of global consciousness offers a hopeful vision for a more interconnected and cooperative future. Global consciousness refers to a sense of interconnectedness and shared responsibility for the well-being of all people and the planet. Advancements in communication technology, such as the Internet, have facilitated the emergence of global consciousness, connecting people from different cultures and backgrounds and fostering a sense of shared humanity. This shared sense of connection may allow humanity to work together rather than in opposition. How can we cultivate and expand this sense of global consciousness? Cultivating empathy and understanding for people from different cultures and backgrounds is essential for building a more peaceful and just world. This involves challenging our own prejudices and stereotypes, actively seeking out opportunities to learn about different cultures, and engaging in cross-cultural dialogue. By recognizing our shared humanity and appreciating the diversity of human experience, we can break down barriers and build bridges across cultural divides. What specific actions can we take to cultivate greater empathy and understanding for others? To build a global community based on peace, justice, and sustainability, we must actively support international organizations, advocate for global policies, and promote intercultural understanding. This involves engaging in dialogue with people from different cultures and backgrounds, challenging our own biases and assumptions, and working together to address global challenges. By working together across national borders, we can create a more just and sustainable world for all. How can we translate our individual actions into collective efforts to address global challenges? Now that some paths to a more positive future are set up, we need to ground this in reality. It's not enough to simply envision a better world. We must also take practical steps to navigate the transition. Building local resilience in the face of potential disruptions is essential for ensuring our survival and well-being, and in turn can create stronger communities. How can we equip ourselves with the skills and knowledge necessary to thrive in a changing world? To truly equip ourselves for this changing world, we must first understand the fundamental limits of our own perception and control. The very reality we experience is not a direct, objective reflection of the world out there, but rather a carefully constructed interpretation shaped by our senses, beliefs, and past experiences. This understanding can be unsettling, but it's a crucial step towards navigating the complexities of our age. How can acknowledging the subjective nature of reality empower us to face an uncertain future? The subjective nature of reality is a concept explored by philosophers and mystics for centuries. In Hinduism and Buddhism, the concept of Maya suggests that the world we perceive is, in essence, an illusion, a veil that obscures the true nature of reality. This isn't to say that the world isn't real, but that our understanding of it is inherently limited and filtered. Neurological research reinforces this idea, demonstrating how our brains actively construct our experience of the world, filling in gaps, interpreting sensory data, and creating a coherent narrative from a constant stream of information. Consider the phenomenon of optical illusions, where our brains misinterpret visual information, demonstrating the fallibility of our perception. If our perception is so easily swayed, how can we be certain of anything? Beyond the limitations of perception, we also suffer from what psychologists call the illusion of control, the tendency to overestimate our ability to influence events and outcomes. This bias can lead to significant anxiety, stress, and disappointment when things inevitably don't go according to plan. Think about how this plays out in areas like personal finance, where we often believe we can beat the market, despite evidence suggesting that most investors underperform benchmark indices. Or consider our health, where we may overestimate the impact of our lifestyle choices, while underestimating the role of genetics or random chance. This overestimation of control leads to disappointment when our efforts don't yield the desired results. If the illusion of control is so pervasive, how can we navigate life without succumbing to anxiety and despair? Embracing uncertainty is key to mitigating the anxieties fueled by the illusion of control. Recognizing that not knowing what the future holds can be both frightening and liberating, a mindset of openness and curiosity allows us to move forward. Instead of trying to predict or control every outcome, we can cultivate a sense of adaptability, learning to navigate unexpected challenges with grace and resilience. The concept of beginner's mind in Zen Buddhism, encourages us to approach each moment with a sense of freshness and openness, as if we were seeing it for the first time, free from preconceived notions and expectations. By letting go of the need for certainty, we can find a sense of peace and equanimity, even in the face of chaos. How can we cultivate this beginner's mind in our daily lives? Radical acceptance allows us to focus on what we can influence, differentiating between what is within our sphere of control, thoughts, feelings, and actions, and what is beyond our external events and the behavior of others is crucial. The Stoic philosophers, such as Epictetus, emphasize the importance of focusing on what is within our power to change, while accepting with equanimity what is not. This doesn't mean passively accepting injustice or suffering, but rather acknowledging the limits of our control and directing our energy towards meaningful action. By letting go of the need to control the uncontrollable, we free ourselves to focus on making a positive impact in the areas where we can make a difference. This acceptance leads us to embrace the chaotic events that are beyond our control. Society's potential collapse, an event that could dismantle oppressive power structures and rigid social norms, needs to be seen as a chaotic event, not just a destructive one. Chaos theory tells us that even seemingly random and unpredictable events can give rise to new patterns, structures, and possibilities. Recognizing this can shift our perspective from one of despair to one of cautious optimism. How can the principles of chaos theory help us reframe our understanding of societal collapse? Chaos theory, pioneered by mathematicians and scientists like Edward Lorenz, demonstrates how seemingly insignificant events, the proverbial butterfly flapping its wings, can have enormous and unpredictable consequences. This sensitivity to initial conditions means that even small changes can trigger cascading effects, leading to unexpected outcomes. In the context of societal collapse, this means that while the initial stages may be disruptive and destructive, the long-term consequences are inherently uncertain. This uncertainty, while unsettling, also opens up the possibility for positive transformation. The creative destruction, described by economist Joseph Schumpeter, highlights how disruption and innovation go hand in hand, with old systems being dismantled to make way for new ones. If chaos can lead to unexpected outcomes, how can we harness its potential for positive change? Embracing disruption requires cultivating a mindset of adaptability and resilience. The ability to learn from failure, to embrace change, and to navigate uncertainty are essential skills for thriving in a chaotic world. Nassim Nicholas Taleb's concept of antifragility suggests that some systems actually benefit from disorder and volatility, becoming stronger and more resilient in the face of challenges. Consider how a forest fire, while destructive in the short term, can clear away deadwood and create space for new growth, ultimately leading to a more diverse and resilient ecosystem. Similarly, societal collapse, while painful, can create opportunities for innovation and transformation, leading to a more just and sustainable future. How can we develop this antifragile mindset in our own lives? Within every collapse lies the seed of something new, a potential for creating a more just, sustainable, and meaningful world lies dormant and needs only our combined effort to come to life. These seeds may take the form of grassroots movements advocating for social and environmental justice, innovative technologies that offer sustainable solutions, or emerging cultural trends that promote cooperation and community. It's up to us to identify these seeds of positive change and nurture them, cultivating a better future from the ruins of the old. But individual action, while important, is not enough. How can we work together to cultivate these seeds of positive change? Addressing systematic issues requires collective action and collaboration. Reducing our carbon footprint or supporting ethical businesses are important, but they alone won't be enough to address the climate crisis or economic inequality. To create meaningful change, we must work together, amplifying our individual efforts through collective action. How can we move beyond individual action and create a more powerful collective force for change. Collective imagination is the shared capacity to envision and create new possibilities for the future. Social movements, artistic expression, and community organizing rely on collective imagination to inspire action and create change. Think about the civil rights movement, which envisioned a society free from racial segregation and discrimination, or the environmental movement, which envisions a world powered by renewable energy and characterized by ecological harmony. These movements demonstrate the power of collective imagination to shape reality, inspiring people to work together to create a better future. If collective imagination is so powerful, how can we cultivate it in our own communities? Visioning a better world involves focusing on what we want to create, rather than what we fear. Collaborative brainstorming, creating shared narratives, and developing concrete plans for action can help us translate our visions into reality. Instead of dwelling on dystopian scenarios, we can focus on creating a positive vision for the future, one that is based on justice, sustainability, and well-being. This positive vision can then serve as a compass, guiding our actions and inspiring others to join us in building a better world. What specific steps can we take to create this shared vision? Ultimately, collective imagination is not just about dreaming, but about translating visions into reality through concrete actions, policies, and systems. Building coalitions, mobilizing resources, and advocating for change are essential for transforming our visions into tangible outcomes. This involves working together across different sectors and communities, building alliances with diverse stakeholders, and advocating for policies that support our shared vision. By combining our creative energies with practical action, we can create a future that is both inspiring and achievable. Even with clear, collective vision, fear can overcome these goals. How can we embrace the unknown with courage? Fear of the unknown can create anxiety, especially in the face of societal challenges and potential collapse. Recognizing and challenging the negative thought patterns that contribute to fear, such as catastrophizing, overgeneralization, and emotional reasoning, is crucial. Challenging these thoughts may involve questioning the evidence for them, reframing them in a more positive light, or simply acknowledging them without judgment. How can we overcome these anxieties and take risks? Courage, then, is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act in spite of it. Embracing the unknown requires a conscious choice to overcome our anxieties and take risks, moving forward despite our doubts and uncertainties. Cultivating a mindset of resilience and adaptability, embracing challenges and learning from failure can help us develop the courage to navigate uncharted territory. Like a muscle, courage grows stronger with use. How can we build our courage muscle? The Doomer generation, acutely aware of societal problems, is uniquely positioned to navigate this uncharted territory. This heightened awareness positions them to be leaders and innovators in a time of transition, pioneering new paths forward and creating a more just, sustainable, and meaningful world. Their insights, born from a deep understanding of the challenges we face, can be invaluable in shaping a better future. How can the Doomer generation embrace this role as pioneers? Therefore, embrace the unknown with courage and creativity, use your imaginations to envision a better world, and work together to build a more just, sustainable, and meaningful future. Reinforce the potential for hope, resilience, and transformation, even in the face of daunting challenges, and realize it is within your grasp. The Doomer label may carry a negative connotation, but perhaps it's time to reclaim it, to see it as a badge of honor, a symbol of our willingness to confront the truth and work towards a better future. What steps will you take today? The exploration thus far has acknowledged the validity of the Doomer generation's anxious economic instability, the looming environmental crises, and the seemingly unbridgeable political polarization that defines our era. This video has sought not to dismiss these concerns, but to understand them, to delve into their roots, and to find pathways forward. But where does this understanding lead us? the core shift lies in reframing despair itself. The journey from doomer to empowered individual hinges on recognizing these anxieties not as endpoints, but as signals that change is not only possible, but desperately needed. It's about understanding that discomfort and unease are not signs of failure, but rather indications that the status quo is unsustainable and that new approaches are required. How can we harness the energy of despair and channel it into constructive action? Doomer optimism, as we've discussed, is the synthesis of acceptance and action. It's not about clinging to blind faith in the face of overwhelming evidence, nor is it about passively resigning ourselves to a bleak fate. Instead, it's a pragmatic approach to navigating a challenging world, one that acknowledges the severity of the problems we face while simultaneously embracing the possibility of creating a better future. It's about finding the courage to act, even when the outcome is uncertain, and about recognizing that even small steps can make a difference. Is such a synthesis truly attainable? Hopelessness is not an endpoint. Concrete pathways exist, pathways that can lead us from despair to empowerment. Mindfulness practices can help us cultivate inner resilience and emotional regulation, allowing us to navigate difficult emotions without becoming overwhelmed. Community engagement can provide a sense of belonging and purpose, reminding us that we are not alone in our struggles. Value-driven action, aligning our lives with our deepest principles, can provide a sense of meaning and direction. Embracing impermanence, vulnerability, and self-compassion can help us develop a more resilient and accepting attitude towards ourselves and the world around us. Societal compassion reminds us of our shared humanity. What other pathways might lead us to positive change? The anxieties of the doomer generation echo throughout history, resonating with periods of upheaval and uncertainty from the Black Death to the Cold War. Recognizing this cyclical nature of societal challenges reinforces our understanding of human capacity for resilience and reinvention. Each generation has faced its own unique set of crises, and each has found ways to adapt, to overcome, and to build a better future. What lessons can we learn from these historical precedents? The implications extend far beyond a single generation. The strategies we've discussed: mindfulness, community engagement, value-driven action, embracing uncertainty are relevant for anyone grappling with existential angst and the challenges of modern life. These are not just tools for surviving in a difficult world, but for thriving, for finding meaning and purpose, even in the face of adversity. Who else might benefit from these insights? The doomer generation is not merely a victim of circumstance, but is uniquely positioned to lead the way towards a more sustainable and equitable future. Their heightened awareness of societal problems, their willingness to confront uncomfortable truths, and their openness to new ideas make them valuable assets in a time of transition. They are the pioneers, the innovators, the change-makers of tomorrow. What role will they play in shaping the future? The shift from despair to action is not just a personal choice, but a moral imperative. Each generation has a responsibility to address the challenges of its time, to leave the world a little better than they found it. This is not a burden, but an opportunity to make a difference, to create a legacy, and to contribute to the ongoing story of human progress. How will we fulfill this responsibility? Can the doomer mentality be changed? Yes, by recognizing that despair is not a fixed state, but a call to action. Is there a way to find meaning in a world that seems to be falling apart? Absolutely, by connecting with our values, engaging with our communities, and working towards a more just and sustainable future. What role does technology play? It can be a source of anxiety and division, but also a powerful tool for connection, collaboration, and change. By harnessing its potential for good, we can create a more hopeful and equitable world. Are these answers enough? Practice mindfulness, connect with your local community, support ethical businesses, engage in political activism, and cultivate self-compassion. These are just a few of the concrete steps you can take to start making a difference today. No action is too small, and every effort counts. What specific action will you prioritize? Collective action is essential. Connect with others, build communities, and work together to create meaningful change. Amplify individual efforts through shared goals. Together, these small actions can grow to something world-changing. Envision a future where resilience, sustainability, and compassion are prioritized over profit and power. This vision is not just a pipe dream, but an attainable goal. By staying committed, we can make this vision a reality. What elements are most critical in this new world? This video has only scratched the surface. Many questions remain about navigating the complexities of the 21st century. Explore future implications for education, technology, economics, and politics. How can we use the ideas discussed here to create a more just, sustainable, and meaningful world for all? Continue this conversation in the comments section. Share experiences and connect with others who are working towards a better future. Learn from those who are living it. Embrace the unknown with courage and creativity. Use your imaginations to envision a better world. Work together to build a more just, sustainable, and meaningful future for all. Continue learning, continue growing, and remember that in every crisis, there is an opportunity.